Hello students, my name is Charu Guleria. I have done MTech in Information Security from NIT Jalandhar. I have more than 3 years of teaching experience in computer science and engineering. I have qualified GATE examination. Today we are going to learn the memory management part in the operating system. Let's go through that. So first we'll try to understand the different memories present in the computer. So we have we have different types of memory hierarchy. So these memories are present in the computer according to the three, you can say, parameters: access time, according to the size of memory, and third one is the cost. So according to these three parameters, these different types of memories are present. So you can see this shape. So registers are having less storage than cache memory. Cache memory is having more storage than registers. Then random access memory. Then secondary memory is the most means it is having more space. So but if we increase the size of memory, then cost will increase. Let's analyze these parameters. See, if I will if I want the ideal memory, then what should be the scenario? My access time should be less, size of the memory should be more, and cost should be bearable, or cost should be less. So but I can't, if I talk practically, I can't get all these three things simultaneously in one kind of memory. So that's why we have different kinds of memories present. Initially, all the processes are present in this secondary memory. And if I see diagrammatically, these registers are present here, then cache memory, then random access memory, or you can say that main memory. Here we have CPU, here we have the secondary memory. Okay, so this CPU don't have direct access to this secondary memory, so it can access these only. Then these random access memory is attached to the secondary memory. So initially all the processes are present in the secondary memory, and then we bring the processes in the random access memory. From there the CPU fetch those processes for the processing. So the important data, whatever it is, that is currently present in the RAM, and that important data we have fetched from the secondary memory. Suppose I have processes P1, P2, P3, so on to P200. So if I want to fetch P4, then I have to move the sequentially. I can't randomly access the P4 process. So all these processes are present sequentially in the secondary memory. So we can fetch some block. Say I have fetched the instructions or processes from 1 to 200, and I bring those processes in the RAM, then it can access by the CPU. So here the concept of locality of reference came. What do you mean by locality of reference? It means that it is a process in which the computer program will assess same set of memory locations, same set of memory locations for a particular period of time, for a particular period of time. Or you can say that it is the tendency of the computer program to assess the instructions whose address are near to one another. Okay, so what is our primary goal? Our primary goal is our primary goal is to run more processes, is to run more number of processes. Only then we are going to achieve the multi programming. Okay, so let's understand the concept of the multi programming with the help of example. So let us suppose initially we are having the size of main memory, say 16 MB, and the process size as 4 MB. What I am having, the main memory size as 16 MB and the process size as 4 MB. So how many number of process we can run? 4 number of processes we can run. If I have size of main memory as 16 MB and the process size as 4 MB, then how many number of processes we can run? 4. So if one process is pending, fraction of t time for performing IO operation, then what is the CPU utilization? CPU utilization will be calculated as amount of time CPU is being used to run the program. So it will be 1 minus t raised to power 4, where 4 is the number of processes we can run. And what is this t raised to power 4? T raised to power 4 is the probability that all the other processes will wait for the IO. So here in this case the CPU utilization will be 1 minus t raised to power 4. So let me suppose that this t value, t is 70%. Okay, so let me calculate it. CPU utilization in this case, it will be 1 minus, what is t value here? 0.7. if it is 70% raised to power 4, so it will come around to be 1 minus 0.2401, which is approximately 76%. So in this case the CPU utilization is 76%. So let me increase the size of main memory and see what happens. So next I have the size of main memory size as 32 MB and process size as 4 MB only. So in this case, what is the CPU utilization? CPU utilization will be equals to 1 minus t raised to power t raised to power number of processes. How many number of processes in this case? Number of processes that can run in this case is 8. Okay, so 1 minus t raised to power 8. So 1 minus what is t? If I am doing the comparison, I have to take the t value same. So here also I am taking t as 0.7. So it is 1 minus 0.0576, which is approximately 94%. See, I have increased the size of memory and number of processes are increased, and therefore your CPU utilization is also increased. Let me take another case also for better understanding. So 64 MB, I have taken the size of main memory and the process size 4 MB only. How many number of processes will be there in this case? 16. So what is the CPU utilization? CPU utilization will be equals to 1 minus t raised to power number of processes. What is that? It is 16. So if I put the value of t as 0.7 here, 0.7 raised to power 16, it will come out to be approximately 99.6%. See here, initially I have taken the size of main memory 16 MB, process size 4 MB, number of processes are 4, the CPU utilization is 76%. Next I have taken the size of main memory as 32 MB, process size as 4 MB, number of processes are 8, so your CPU utilization has increased to 94%. After that, I have taken the size of main memory. I have increased the size of main memory to 64 MB, and number of processes that can run here is 16, and here see the CPU utilization reaches 99.6%. What I can interpret from this scenario, that if I have more number of processes running, then my CPU utilization has increased. अगर number of processes increase हो रहे हैं, my CPU utilization will also increase. So what I can see here, so my CPU utilization will be equals to 1 minus t raised to power m. If I increase the value of m, then CPU utilization will increase. Ultimately, the degree of multiprogramming will also increased. I think this concept is clear to you. So let's move to the memory management techniques. So the problem will arise when we do the allocation, deallocation. So there you encounter the different types of problems. So to solve the different types of problems, we need the memory management techniques in the multiprogramming. Because more number of processes are running, so there may be problems will be there. So to manage that problems, we need the memory management techniques. So we will understand one by one that what do you understand by all these techniques. So you can see the flow chart here. See, the memory management techniques are divided into two parts initially: contiguous memory allocation, and second one is non-contiguous memory allocation. Further, the contiguous memory allocation is divided into two parts: fixed partitioning and variable partitioning. And non-contiguous memory allocation also divided into two parts: paging and segmentation. Let's understand this part first. What do you understand by this one? So, to understand the memory management techniques, first you should know the concept of memory. So, let's see. So, the memory can be byte addressable and it can be word addressable. It can be byte addressable and word addressable. You know that 1 byte equals to how many bits? 8 bits. And one word, if suppose one word is 16 bits, if I have to calculate the size of total capacity of the memory, if I am having 8 words, then how it will be counted? 8 into 16. So this is the total size of the memory, or you can say that it is the total memory capacity. Okay, so let's see one question based on this. Consider a system having 256 words, 256 m words, and each word is having 64 bits. What is the capacity of the memory? You have to find out the capacity of the memory, and that capacity of the memory should be in bytes. Let's see, one word, we know that how many bits? 64 bits it is given. And if I have to calculate 256 m words, what it will be? 256 m words into 64 bits, right? Because system is of 256 m words. So you know that what is the value of m here? 2 raised to power 20 mega into 8 bytes, because I have to convert this bits into bytes. So I have written here in bytes. So 256 is 2 raised to power 8 into 2 raised to power 20 into, what is this 8? 2 raised to power 3. So what it will be? It will be 2 raised to power 31 bytes, or you can say that it is 2 GB. So what is the total capacity of the memory? 2 GB. You can calculate like this. Or next, let's see another example also. So we have a system with 64 keywords. 64 keywords. We are having one system in the memory, and each word is having size of how many bytes? 16 bytes it is given, and you have to calculate the capacity of the memory. So one word equals to 16 bytes it is given, and 64k words, how much it is? 64k into 16 bytes. So let me calculate it. It is 2 raised to power 6, 2 raised to power 10 into 2 raised to power, this is 4. So what it will be? 6 plus 4, 10, 2 raised to power 20 bytes, right? So this is how you calculate the size of the memory. There is another question, like the size of RAM chip. The size of RAM chip, it is given to you 256 into 1 bit. It is given to you, and the memory capacity is also given in this case. Memory capacity is given to you, it is 512 KB. They have asked that calculate the number of RAM chips. You have to calculate the number of RAM chips. How you will calculate it? So we know that the memory capacity equals to number of words multiplied by the size of each word. Size of each word. We know this formula. So number of RAM chips will be calculated as the memory capacity 512 KB divided by the size of RAM chip, that is 256 into 1 bit. Okay, so we have to, this is given in bytes, so we have to calculate it in bits. So 512 multiplied by 2 raised to power 10 into 2 raised to power 3 bits divided by 256 is okay, into 1 bit. So this will be cancelled, 2, so it will be 2 raised to power 1, 2 raised to power 10, 2 raised to power 3. So how much it will be? 2 raised to power 14, or you can say that 2 raised to power 10 into 2 raised to power 4. It is equals to 16K. It is equals to 16K. Okay. So like this you can calculate the capacity of the memory also, and you can calculate the number of RAM chips. So let's come to the memory management techniques now. So first we'll understand what is the difference between contiguous memory allocation and non-contiguous memory allocation technique. So contiguous memory allocation is a method in which single contiguous or section part of a memory is allocated to the process. So we can achieve the contiguous memory allocation by dividing the memory partitions into the fixed size partitions. See here, suppose we have a memory blocks here. Okay, we have memory blocks here, and this is the process. Okay, this is the process. Suppose this is one memory block, this is another memory block, and this last one is another memory block. Suppose we have 3 memory blocks. So this process will be placed here. So it will be placed in the single contiguous section. If this is the contiguous section remaining, so this, if same process, if it can be accommodated here, it can be simply placed here. But in case of non-contiguous memory allocation, it allocates the memory space present in the different locations to the process as per requirements. So it can place the process according to the requirements. Suppose we have memory block Here we have different memory blocks. So suppose a process came. So here one space is empty, another space is empty, here another space is empty. So it can be accommodated according to the different locations, whatever available according to the requirement of the process. It can't be allocated in contiguous manner. Okay, so this is the difference between the non-contiguous memory allocation. So this is further divided into paging, and it is divided into fixed partition and variable partition scheme. It is divided into paging and segmentation. Now we are going to study this methods, contiguous memory allocation, and we'll study in detail about the fixed partition and variable partition schemes. So we will continue this in the next lecture. If you have any doubts, you can comment below, or you can mail also, and I will provide you all the solutions. If you have any doubt, you can directly contact me also. Thank you.